the teacher can do all these things according to the warm up to revise, as I said, revising colors quickly with the class using flashcards, as we mentioned, or by pointing to classroom objects, as you said, Mr. Basil, and asking pupils to tell what color each object is. We may ask them individually or in choral or in groups in order to revise, then remind in the warming up before listening or opening the books when they finish.
Questions, yes, no questions.
Yes, remind them is in the form of question. Then point, as we said, to various classroom objects and ask the class and individuals, as Mr. Majid said, is it blue, is it black, according to the color related to the previous lesson. And they respond. Then after the warming up, after 5 minutes, we start with the lesson and teaching them the procedure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Umayma. Now, we have done the warming up, Mr. Majid. After the warming up, now we come to a very important stage in the lesson, which is the presentation. The presentation, how to introduce the topic of the lesson and how to present your ideas, the ideas of the lesson itself, the procedures, I mean. So what are the procedures? And I'd like to ask you about the time which is required for this stage.
Yes.
Please.
Now here, according to the time available, now when we take 5 minutes for warming up, we still have 40 minutes for the whole lesson. We can leave 5 minutes in the end for the final evaluation. And then we divide the behavioral objectives, which we have mentioned. That first objective is to teach the new vocabulary. Students will be able to name the parts of the body. Now in the procedure, he is going to say, I'm going, for example, as a teacher, to touch my nose, saying nose, nose, nose. Then he can ask the class as choral or individuals to repeat the word nose. Then he can say ear. After that, he can ask individuals, touch your nose, and he himself touches his nose so that they don't forget.
They will respond.
Respond
quickly.
So he teaches parts of the body and he mentions the procedure of how he is going. Then he can say, raise your hand, and he raises his hand himself to show them that this is hand. He moves his hand to show them this is hand. Ear. So this way he teaches them. He can show them the flashcards. He can say hand, showing a picture of a hand on a flashcard, sticking it on the board, saying hand. Then he can move to head, ear, leg to teach them the parts. Then he can use the wall chart on the wall and with numbers of the parts, asking the students what is number one. For example, students will respond saying head. And he himself can encourage them to say head by saying head with them. Then he can ask them individuals, what is number one, Ahmad? Head. What is number one, Sami? What is number one, Huda? They repeat head. Then he moves. After teaching the vocabulary, then he says clap to teach them the meaning of clap. He claps his hands, teaches them how. Now, while saying nose and hand, when he reaches ear, the teacher here mentions the meaning of a vowel. He can say that ear starts with a, and we use a and an with names when they are countable. It doesn't need to teach grammar in
I'd
general.
like to stop here, Mr. Majid, because I think it's a very important point. We are teaching young learners grade 1. Grade 1 have no idea. Let's say the pupils of
About
grade 1 or
plural
in
and
grade
singular.
1 have no idea about grammar at all.
Yes.
We are teaching them, let's say, commands and how to respond to our commands, behavioral objectives, as you said. So I think grammar is not important at this stage. And I think I prefer for the teacher himself not to mention grammar at all. But he can, by using a strategy which is called, let's say, choral repetition, or to ask the students to repeat after him. When I say, for example, I say an eye, ear, an ear, for example. But when I say head, I say a head.
This is what I was going to say.
So they will later distinguish that when he says head, he mentions a, not an. So they will notice by themselves without mentioning any grammar at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Why they need grammar, of course, but not now.
Yes,
not
yes.
now.
What I was going to say that he can say a head, then he can say I cannot say a ear, a ear. It's difficult to pronounce two as together, so I say an ear. So a head, an ear,
Exactly.
an arm,
Exactly.
like this. We are forgetting about vowels and yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
You're right.
I
But
prefer
can,
repetition.
as a
Repetition is
teacher,
the
yeah,
only solution here.
Yes.
he can mention that it's difficult to say a ear, so I'm going to say an ear
Yes.
and a head, a hand, an ear, an arm.
Exactly.
Later on in the future, we can teach them that
Yes.
this is a
Yes.
vowel.
This is what I mean. Now, there's something else I'd like to ask you about it, Mr. Majid, which is which strategy or technique, let's say, do you prefer for the teacher? They are young learners and they like playing.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to give them orders to say most of the time during the lesson, what is this? It's a nose. What is this? It's a bag. Is this a bag? Yes, it is. Or no, it is not. I think after 5 minutes, they will feel
get bored.
bored
Yes, yes.
or
So
get
we can
bored.
use pair
So
work.
we have to use pair work,
Pair
group
work,
work, and
group work.
to, let's say, design some games for them
Yeah, they like games.
to feel motivated, to make them, let's say, like learning, right? This is what I mean.
Of course.
We
Don't-
can,
don't
we
you
can
think so?
divide the students into pairs or groups. Then we can invent a kind of game. We can ask them to play the game together. Touch your nose. The student responds to his partner, to his peer. Then we change roles. They make them play the game by touching the nose, touching the head, or invent any other game so that they practice the names of parts
Yes,
of the body.
yes, yes. Thank you very much. So, let's repeat the procedures, please, Mr. Majid. Revise the body parts, as you said, nose, mouth, eye, and ear, using the flashcards or the body wall chart.
Yes.
Say
Then
a nose,
say
a mouth,
nose,
an eye,
mouth.
an ear, as you said. Explain that in English. I think this information is not necessary here for at this stage. Okay, if the students, let's say, have a previous knowledge, he can follow this strategy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a good idea to tell them that I cannot say a together. So I'm going to say an ear, an arm,
Yes.
but a head, forgetting about singular and plural.
Vowels,
but we can
consonants,
teach
they
them
have no idea
the
about
word
them.
as it is.
Yes.
So when I say head, I don't say head, I don't say a head, a hand. They will absorb it together that we say a head. Later on we can move to grammar, not in this stage.
Good.
But they need to know that we say a head, but not a arm, because it's difficult to say a.
Exactly.
And as we know that vowels are the sound a. When it's not a, it's not a vowel. But we don't teach it as grammar. We said it's difficult to say a. So I say an arm, an ear, but a hand, a head.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's the same strategy we follow with our kids at home, Mr. Majid.
Yes.
Sometimes you can teach a boy or a girl, let's say 2 years old boy, 2 years old boy or girl, you can teach him or her, let's say, a behavior, and this boy or this girl has no idea that she or he doesn't understand why or the meaning of this. But for example, when you give him something, you ask him to say shukran, my baby,
Yes.
in Arabic. So he says shukran. So
Yes.
after many times, he
Yes.
will say shukran when you give him or her
Yes,
something.
something.
Right?
Encouraging.
So it's the same way.
We encourage
it's the
them.
same way. So it's
Actually,
a behavior.
To assure what you said about not important to teach grammar, the colloquial Arabic, not the Fusha one, if you ask a person, why do you say it this way, not another way? they will say we don't know the grammar for the colloquial one. We know the grammar for
Yes,
Fusha one,
yes,
but
yes.
to say we say it this way. We learned it like
Exactly.
this.
Yes.
So when we learn the language as it is, we don't need to construe always. But when we are on higher level of education, we teach the grammar. So it's not important for the students to know the grammar of why it is said like this, but we teach them. Actually, Arabs in the past, in the ancient years, they
Yes.
used to send their kids to the nomad areas to teach them the Fusha Arabic, not to teach them the grammar. They
Yes.
used to learn the correct
Of course,
language,
of course.
but later on we had the grammar. So those who say we need to teach grammar, we assure them that
Grammar
grammar
through
is not
context.
important. Yeah.
Grammar
True.
through context.
Because first we learn the language as it is, as a whole. After that, we construe the language. But to make the students know that here we don't say a arm, we tell them that it's difficult to say a arm. We say an arm. Why? We say later on we're going to discuss this, but now say an arm, an ear, but a head, a hand.
Good. Thank you very much. So, next procedure, Mr. Majid.
Yeah, we can teach
We
them
can hold
again.
up a flashcard, ask the class
What is this? They will answer it's a hand. If
Mouth.
the card is mouth,
Etc.
head.
Any
So
vocabulary.
to teach them the parts of the body this way, this is from the procedure, and the students will reply, it's a mouth, it's a hand. Alternatively, we can point to our body, and I can touch my ear, for example, say, what is this? If they don't respond immediately, I can give them the answer, it's an ear. What is this? It's an ear, and I can repeat the answer many times until they respond to me, and they repeat, it's an ear as choral,
Yes.
and then individuals.
I can follow the model strategy, you mean. The model. You are the model. You can
Yes.
follow this strategy.
So
Why
always,
Yes.
now I feel shocked when I see a teacher asking his kids, grade 1 or grade 2, a question, and when they don't respond, he gets angry, and he keeps repeating the question. Is that blue? This is when the students, the pupils don't respond, he repeats the action. You give the answer. Is that blue? No, it isn't. Is that blue? No, it isn't. It's green. Then he repeats again after he gave them the answers to always prompt. Always give them the answer when they don't know it. Show them where this is. Like when you want somebody to say, eat
But
a
of
sandwich.
course, the teacher should know that his students, all of them, know about color. They can distinguish
Because
colors.
yeah,
Yes.
color is previous lesson. So we are not teaching now colors. If
Of course.
it was
But when
color,
you say, is that bag or this bag blue? So we
here
are talking
in
about
grade
colors.
1, we taught. Now we are in unit 13.
Of course.
Which means we taught color
I know.
before.
I know.
And we know.
I mean, Mr. Majid, if the teacher feels that some of the students, a good number of the students, don't have, let's say, a good information about colors.
He can
Let's say
revise
that.
the colors.
So he can
Yes.
revise colors.
He can
in this.
revise the colors.
That's it. This is what I mean. Thank you very much. What else?
So after repeating the answer as choral, he can
Yes.
choose individual pupils, ask them same question, what color is that? What is this? And if he responds or she responds, it's okay. If they don't respond, he can give them the answer until
Yes.
everybody in the classroom knows the parts of the body.
Okay. Next one, please.
We
I
can
could-
repeat.
Now we want to talk about presentation.
Presentation, yes, relating to
thank
this.
You, thank you, Mr. Majid. Sorry, Mrs. Umayma.
Yes.
Now, we have new vocabulary. How to teach the new vocabulary, as Mr. Majid said.
Yes.
Shall we continue? Please.
Yes, as Mr. Majid said, and we always teaching the new vocabulary by pointing to parts of the body, the
So
teacher's
he has
body,
two ways
or
here. Either to use the body wall chart,
yes,
or
Or
to
the
use
flashcards.
or to use
Or
his own
his
body,
own
or
body,
his
yeah.
or
own
the
body
of one of the students.
of one of the students. He may
A model.
select.
They
They
like-
like it.
They like it. Yes.
They like to show off. They like
He can
to speak,
ask
to
2
show.
or 3 pupils to come in front of the class.
Yes.
He can use their hands. He can touch the hand of the pupil. Then he can ask them to raise their hands. After that, he can teach them.
He can design a game. Let's say he can choose 5 students, right? and he says, we will play. We will try to play a game. Come here, please. He can choose some of the students, 5 students, let's say that, and he says, I will ask you to touch one part of your body. Okay? If one of you doesn't know, he will lose. Okay? I will change hand.
Yes.
Now let's start. Touch your nose. Of course, the 5 students will touch their nose.
That's
if one of them is not able to know the answer or to respond, he will, let's say, exchange the student, and he says, you lose. Okay,
Yes.
let's replace with someone else. That's it.
They like
so
it.
They
They
like
like it. They
playing,
interest.
and especially for grade 1,
This is a
young
technique.
learners like playing, as we said before.
Yes.
What else?
It's
Mrs.
one of the
Umayma?
techniques that in
Yes.
order to encourage them to communicate. We
Yes.
insist on communicating, not teaching grammar.
Exactly.
Let them speak, let them say the words, let them know the meaning, especially in our lesson, the parts of the body. Then we name each part of the body, as we said. Name it. We're pointing to the part of the body, name them and have them repeat. Have them and the teacher ask the class to repeat.
Good.
Repetition is very important as individuals or in pair, in groups, as we said, choral, and selecting students,
Good.
especially the students who want to speak only, the students who want to learn and who get the idea more than their colleagues in
Good.
the classroom.
Yes.
This encourages the other. This encourages the others to speak
Yes,
and to
yes,
do the
yes.
same
I agree with you.
activity.
He can ask a pupil to come in front of the class and make the pupil touch parts of his body, and the class as choral to answer. When he touches his ear, the class will say an ear like
Yes.
this. This is to make sure that they know now the parts of the body.
Yes.
Or he can ask 2 pupils to play the game in front of Ajar, or he can divide the class into pairs.
It's another
Ask
strategy. Yes,
them to
yes,
play the
yes.
game. One touches a part of the body and the other says the name of it.
So
That's
this is
it.
why we ask most of the time, or all of the time, our dear colleagues to vary their activities. Why? Because especially young learners
They
like
get bored quickly.
They like, let's say, new things. They get bored, as we said, if
Yes.
you follow the same strategy in each lesson.
Yes.
So you
especially
have
young
to
learners.
vary your techniques, vary your tools, vary your strategies, and vary your activities. This
So
is
what
it.
we are doing now, we're teaching the vocabulary of the song itself. We need to make sure before we
Yes.
play the audio
Yes.
to the students that the student, the pupils, know every part of body they are going
Yes.
to hear in the song itself.
Yes.
Sorry for interruption, Mrs. Umayma. I'd like to ask you a very important question. Some teachers, let's say, follow, as I think, a wrong strategy when they concentrate or focus on information, knowledge, I mean, words, vocabulary, that's it. They concentrate on, let's say, the meanings of the new vocabulary in Arabic. So they ask the student, what is the meaning of head?
This happens always, and we
happens.
always say, please don't forget
Yes.
about Arabic.
So,
Make your pupils think in English.
so what can you advise them, please?
The
What can you
teachers.
advise them? The teachers. of
Yes,
course.
the teacher should not translate, especially for the young learners or for all the grades. They should not translate into Arabic. They should not follow this strategy.
It is a
instead.
wrong
It's a
strategy.
wrong strategy indeed, and we always insist on using English.
So what is more important for grade 1 or young learners?
Yes, the more important and the most important is to have them speak and learn English in
Practice the
English, to
language.
practice the language.
So, let's say the teacher now in the classroom has to focus on the response of his students.
Yeah.
If they are able to respond, that's it.
Yes.
So my students are able to, let's say, to respond to me, so they understand everything.
Yes.
If they are not able to respond, so
means
it means that they don't understand the meanings of words. They don't understand, let's say, yes/no questions or WH questions, and they don't know how to use them. So I should do something else.
Yes.
I should,
Change.
let's say, change my strategy or my plan.
Yes.
My plan is not good. It means that my plan is not good, or my strategies, my activities I follow with my students in the classroom are not well, let's say, planned. So I should change.
Yes.
I can tell you something about why teachers try to use Arabic in their class. They think that this pupil must understand everything the teacher says in English. No, the pupil is not going to understand every word the teachers may say in English, but the aim is to understand every word in the lesson itself.
Good.
So, to teach the word hand, he may use many words to explain the word hand. In the end, if the students or the pupil knows that this thing, this organ of the body is hand or ear, so this is the target. This is the target we want to convey to the pupil. If the pupil didn't understand everything the teacher said in English, it's okay, but what is very important is every student, every individual pupil must understand every word in the book, in the lesson itself.
Good.
So if the pupil knows now all the words, all the new vocabulary in the lesson, that's it, what we want. So why should we speak English that the pupil may not understand, while we only need to teach the words? We need to make this pupil get familiar to the words in English. So when every time we mention the same words or new words, this pupil will understand English and it will be clear for his brain and his ear.
And
when
this
he
is why,
receives it.
Mr. Majid, we are concentrating a lot on young learners, because it is the beginning for any student.
Actually, we need
Yes.
the best
It's the
teachers.
beginning. We should focus on the beginning,
Best teachers need to be chosen to teach new
especially grade
Yes.
one.
grade
Especially.
one. Yes.
No one, not all teachers
Can teach.
are able or can teach grade one. It's a
That's
difficult
right.
job,
Yes.
in fact. So, as you said, we should choose them carefully. We
Carefully,
should choose
yes.
them carefully.
Yes.
We respect all our colleagues, of course, in the field, but of course, there's something which is called experience. We should choose experienced teachers. And some teachers say themselves that I don't like to teach young learners. I don't like to teach.
more
They
difficult.
say it frankly.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's okay. I respect his opinion or her opinion. Okay. I say, okay. I don't force him or her to teach young learners if they don't like. Because,
of course.
as we said, the teacher should like his job.
Of course.
When you don't
If
like
he doesn't
something,
like-
you're not going to achieve it very well.
He will
Yes.
not succeed. He won't succeed. So, anyway, let's continue, Mrs. Umayma.
Yes.
You were talking about teaching the new vocabulary,
Yes,
please.
teaching the new vocabulary, we spoke, as we said, Mr. Majid, that teach the new vocabulary, they name each part of the body, but pupils need to learn the new vocabulary for body parts in the song which follows. Not everything, only in the song which follows, okay? And not only the vocabularies, they have to know other words, the commands, the words
Of course,
which
we
are
have
the
many
commands.
parts of the human body, but we have maybe 5 or 6 mentioned in the song.
In the song.
And this is our objective.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
the aim.
Only,
That's
this
it.
is the aim.
Okay.
We have other vocabulary passively like clap, stand. The commands here, they put, jump, and shake, which these verbs or these commands are mentioned in the song. So it's a good idea to teach these words in conjunction with parts of the body
Good.
to help
Not
the
separately.
pupils. Yes.
Yes.
When we say clap, clap what?
Clap your hands.
My leg or my hand? My hands.
The teacher uses his hands to clap and says, clap your hand.
When we
Yes.
say
Then
stamp,
stamps
your
on the
feet.
floor, then he showed him that stamp with your foot.
Yes.
Yes.
Put your hands, put your leg.
Yeah,
you
he
can,
can-
we
Put
can-
your book, put your pen. He
Yes,
can use
yes.
all the objects which
Yes.
are
Yes, yes.
relevant-
Thank you,
relevant
thank you,
موجود.
thank you. Shake. We can say shake your
Shake.
head or shake your hand, right?
yes.
Good. So you said it's very important to teach them these new vocabulary in conjunction with some parts of
the body, yes.
It would be a good strategy, and I think he will, let's say, invest the time In order not to waste a lot of time
Yes.
to teach them separately, I mean, these verbs alone and the parts of the body. No, we
Yes.
can teach them
Together.
together.
Yes.
That's it.
Not separately.
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, we shall continue after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, it's time for the break. I'd like to remind you that you can contact with us by using by using the phone numbers shown at the bottom of the screen. Let's have a break for 1 minute and then we can go back. Thank you.